life, Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power, fit me. Nah, he don't know I got the power. All my life, Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power, fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk in power, fit me.
Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend and tell a friend to tune in. This is the End of the Bench. You can catch me on Twitch. You can catch me on YouTube. You can catch me no longer on Facebook. We will no longer be broadcasting on Facebook. I may do it occasionally, but going forward permanently as of now, no more Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. I'm on Twitter as well, at @HRAP_B, Twitch at the End of the Bench, THAE. Yeah, you know how to spell it. Let's not even go through all that. Thank you for tuning in. This is HRAP. This is Build and Destroy, where I attempt to build up the community, destroy the lies and propaganda that surround our community. This evening, before I even start, I got out of the habit of thanking my parents. Without my parents, there is no me. Without John and Dolores, there is no Brian. There is no HRAP. There is no Intervent. So salute to them. Salute to everybody in my family who helped contribute to put me in this position. Thank you. And again, www.theendofthebench.com, www.THAENDOFDABENCH.com is where you can watch the broadcast. You can tune in, tap in, tell a friend and tell a friend. And again, subscribe, like, share. It's important. Now, with that being said, this evening, I have an interesting topic, I believe. It is about media, the difference in media, and how we need to support the media that supports us. Today, we are in a situation to whereas people the media, the mainstream media is propagandized information. They give you the information they want you to have, where they're building up and tearing down and creating dissension. One of their slogans in mainstream media, I used to work in mainstream media. I used to work for the largest media organization on earth, which is called Reuters. If it bleeds, it leads. That's what they think of you. If it bleeds, it leads. It creates turmoil. It creates chaos. It creates a myriad of things that are non-beneficial to me or you. So when you're looking at these things, you find yourself in a situation to whereas you're not being fed the information that you need. And once upon a time, we got some of the information that we need, but at this point in time, we don't get the information that we need. That's why it's called media, news, and facts. I mean, media, news versus the facts. The facts of a situation in mainstream media are almost never told. This is what we are faced with on a daily basis. We're inundated with negativity. We're inundated with information about people who are migrating to this country because our government created chaos in their countries. They're running away from poverty. They're running away from dozens of things. We're inundated with wars. We're inundated with a bunch of things, but they may be non-beneficial to you and your situation. At the end of the day, a U.S. senator, which I refuse to say his name because, in my opinion, he was a staunch racist. Government is local. If you are not covering your local situations, what's going on in D.C. really doesn't bother you because they take their cue from you. There is a state senate. There is a state senate. There is a state House of Representatives. There is a governor, which is de facto president of your state. You have mayors, which is de facto president of your city. You have county presidents and things of that nature. Those things directly affect you. Potholes, academic achievement, employment opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities. Those are the things that you're faced with on a daily basis. Things that affect you every day. Potholes control your car. Bridges falling apart. In Chicago, there are over 45 bridges in the city of Chicago, and I heard some of those bridges are borderline about to fall into the Chicago River. So these are the things that we need to be focusing on. This is why I'm going to focus on this evening. Mainstream media is a propagandized, misleading tool to put you in the worst possible situation. All you have to do is watch something like The Daily Show, where Jordan Kelper goes around and goes to Trump rallies. And you have people who just regurgitate things that they heard on the news. When you hear people make arguments against Joe Biden, you just hear things that are propagandized and it's just rhetoric. I'm not a supporter of either one of those guys because, in my personal opinion, neither one of those guys are directly for me and the people who look like me. So I can't be for you if you are staunchly not in my corner. But whose fault is that? That's the people who are in my corner's fault, because we complain laterally and we don't complain vertically. How do you complain vertically? Here in the city of Chicago, we have what is called an alderman. We have state reps. We have city council. We have school council. We have mayors. We have deputy mayors. We have city managers, Cook County presidents. You know, these are the people that we need to complain to. If you, how many group texts are you in? Whereas you're talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake, you're talking about Rick Ross and Kendrick Lamar, you're talking about all these ancillary things that will do you no good at no point in your life. But how many of you are dropping in? These are the things that need to happen. Is Biden all bad? No, he's not. No, he's not. Is Trump doing any good? I don't believe he will, because you have a dude by the name of Donald J. Trump who presented arguments that will be detrimental, definitely directly to you. So when you're looking at these things, you can no longer look. You shouldn't be looking at your pocketbook and making your decision on who you're going to vote for, because someone gave you something in the past that he didn't actually give you, and you're going to use that as a beacon or as a North Star to go towards someone. Look, what a lot of people are struggling in this country. A lot of people are dealing with inflation, and then they make it seem as if inflation is just some conflated thing that no one can control. Then you look at it, and then you look at APAC comes out with a report saying that these people are coming together and allowing the oil companies to keep the oil, keep the gas high. This is because we're going towards clean energy and things of that nature. That means money will be taken out of their pocket. When money is taken out of their pocket, what happens? Money's taken out of their pocket. They're not going to be as rich as they want to be, because they're already richer than they need to be. See, these are the things that we need to pay attention. This is why when you're looking at media or mainstream media, you must be aware of what's going on. These things are the things that are detrimental to your wealth and mental health and your social stability. But you have control over that. How many of you guys understand that the United States federal government sits on tons of gallons of oil every day, and what they do is sit on it in the event, but they still buy from other countries? So why is it that our gas is sky high and gas around the world is sky high? It's because you continue to make your partners and your affiliates and your and your cohorts richer than they ever wanted to be. These are the things that we need to know about. These are the things that we need to have conversations about in closed quarters. It's not about agreeing. You don't have to agree with anybody you have a conversation with, at no point. But what you need to do is respect that opinion and then look into it, because guess what? The person who is 99% wrong, that means 1% of that stuff he said was right, and that 1% may be beneficial to you. And these are the things that you need to be paying attention to, most definitely, without a doubt. That's why I'm here this evening, because I want to talk about why you should pay attention, what kind of media we should follow, what kind of things that we need to pay attention to, and what we need to steer clear from. Primarily my community, the community I'm speaking to is the African American community in the United States of America, or African descent community in the United States of America, or let's just be simple, Black people on earth. Because for whatever reason, whatever propagandized reports and news that you receive, we are always under the thumb. People look at us sideways. We're always in a situation where we're in the crosshairs, and we actually gotten to the point where we believe that we are our own worst enemy. First and foremost, let me clear that up. If you have a system in place to make your life as difficult as humanly possible, allowing a few to get through so you can say, see, they made it, you can't be your own worst enemy. Crime, mayhem, drug abuse, alcoholism, violence against each other, violence, sexual violence, and things of that nature that are running rampant throughout the world. And for whatever reason, it is you focus on us and you run our statistics out there. What I want you to understand is this: those are symptoms of a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is we don't work together as a group. Because if you work together as a group, then those things will dissipate. And when those things dissipate, you'll put yourself in a better situation. You put yourself in a better situation, you'll rise to the top. This is why I do this every week, because I want us to make sure that we are upholding the traditions that our ancestors, our elders, our grandparents, and great grandparents, and the people before them set in place. And if we don't do that, we are only contributing to our own demise. That's just the bottom line, point blank, period, end of story. It will be no plainer than that. And that's why I'm here today. Media. Why is it that CNN's, what are CNN's biggest demographic? The Black community, but they don't talk about Black issues. They talk about you hear about Israel, and you hear about Palestine and Israel. You hear about the Ukraine and Russia. But how many times have you turned on the news and heard anything about Haiti, heard anything about the uprising in Africa and things of that nature? You don't hear about those things because those things directly affect us. You get propagandized news like people from the continent don't like us. People from the Caribbean don't like us. People from here don't like us. How can you even take 10 seconds out of your life and put stock into something of that nature when you haven't had a conversation with every single solitary person in the United States of America? You haven't had a conversation with everybody in your community. Therefore, how could you possibly allow someone to speak for an entire diaspora? Let's get away from that nonsense. This is why I'm here this evening. I'm here to say what we need to focus on is Black media. Black media has been at the forefront of telling the truth since our emancipation. Ever since we had the ability with people like Benjamin Banneker and people like W.B. Du Bois and people like Booker T. Washington, when they were putting out periodicals, informations like the Philadelphia Inquirer and things of that nature, Black-owned newspapers. This has been one of the beacons of our success since the inception of this country, as well as since the emancipation of our people in 1863, 161 years ago. We must put ourselves in a situation to whereas we're focusing on our eyes on information that's beneficial to us and not detrimental to us. Why are we constantly listening to people who have nothing good to say about us, but periodically, well, I shouldn't say nothing, have very little good to say about us, and periodically they'll pull a rose out of the concrete. There are far more good people in our community. Most of us are hardworking. Most of us get up and bust our behinds every day. Most of us contribute to someone else's life on a daily basis, helping, whether it be financially, emotionally, or just a kind word as you walk down the street. We do that. That's who we are. If you don't believe us, why is it that when you have a conversation about any other culture, if you're more than 5 people in the room, if you say something negative about another culture, especially the dominant white culture, you're traditionally going to have someone in that group speak up for the other culture. It's because we are forgiving people. We have a good nature, and we've been put in an insanely chaotic situation, and we still, as the poet says, we still rise. And this is what I want you to understand. We don't have to pay attention to these things. At one point, one of the points of our pride was places like the Public Defender, a Black-owned newspaper here in Chicago, Illinois. You had Ebony, Jet, Essence, and things of that nature, while other people had Newsweek, Time, and things of that nature where they never hardly talked about us. We created our own fractions of news, and those news and periodicals helped us become the great people that we are today. Somehow, someway, we stopped subscribing to Jet. We stopped subscribing to Ebony. We stopped subscribing to Essence Magazine and things of that nature. Those things were actually taken over by larger white entities, which is insanely chaotic for us. How can you allow someone who has contributed to the destruction of your people, the oppression of your community, and the ability to outline things that will not benefit you at all? Why would you subscribe to that? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. That's a question that the entire Black diaspora needs to ask itself. How is it that you don't like Black Americans and we don't like Black people from other countries, and the actual enemy is the people who created that division? These borders didn't exist before other people came into play. Do I have an issue with every white person? Because I know someone out there going, well, why don't you like white people? I don't have an issue with every white person. I have an issue with the white system. The system. People don't hurt groups of people. Systems hurt groups of people. That's why you need organization. That's why you need immobilization. And then you immobilize, you organize, and then you fight against the oppression that is placed in front of you. The only way you can do that is to support people like Sister Karen Hunter, read down your favorites, Clay Kane, Roland Martin, and others. The Griot just fired, well, let go Mark Lamont Hill and Ebony K. Williams. I've never watched their show, but I do keep up with Mark Lamont. I never watched Ebony's show, but I do keep up with Mark Lamont Hill. He's an astute professor at Temple University, and he's well-rounded, and he has covered things. And one of the things that got him fired from his mainstream job was speaking about the very war that everybody's talking about right now. So we must continue to support Byron Allen. We must continue to support Roland Martin, and most definitely support me as well, because between us and other Black entities like TV One and other entities out there, this is what we would need to do in order to maintain some semblance of unity, some semblance of organization, and some semblance of immobilization, so we can fight against the tyranny that is being presented to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all around the world. Just understand, it's a reason that white skin whitening cream is the #1 product worldwide. In brown countries, we have been colonized and conditioned to not like this skin that we're wrapped in, and we must get away from that. We must. And the only way we can do that is to start paying attention to people, of the aforementioned people that I said. So then you can have the Coca-Colas, the Nikes, the Hennessy's, the Nabiscos, the Procter and Gamble's put money into Roland Martin uncut, instead of just putting them on CNN, putting hundreds of millions and maybe even billions of dollars into the propagandized news that is just basically leading to the destruction of our people. We can no longer continue to listen to Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, or GN. And that's just the facts. We must go towards the people who look like us, who have our best interests in mind, so we can have those dollars come to us. And then guess what? You have production assistants who will be Black. You have executive producers who will be Black. You have television hosts who will be Black. And then you don't have to ask anyone for anything. We continue to look towards people who really don't care about us and ask them, fix our problems. Why would they? Why would anybody fix a problem that they created and they benefit from? That is just asinine to even assume that people would do something of that nature. So you can no longer do those things. This is how you get out of the hole that our community has been placed in. Are there going to be some strays and people not just pay attention to the obvious answers to the question? Yes, there will be. Is it a possibility? It is a possibility that my methodology is incorrect. It is a possibility. But guess what? We need to have these conversations. That's why I say when you come in and you come into the chat room, thank you for the people who come into the chat room. Salute to each and every one of you. If you hear something that you disagree with, then you speak on it and we can have a conversation. It does not have to be a dissertation. It can be a conversation. And the conversation will get us closer to the problems that we face, to the answers to the problems that we face on a regular basis. This is not chess. It is checkers. If you come together like most institutions, well, most communities throughout this criminal industry called the United States of America, we can fight anything. There's enough of us and there's enough money circulating to do everything we need to do in order to be as successful as we can be. Otherwise, you continue to suffer. And guess what? As I'll talk about a little later in the program, there is a situation to whereas is a storm coming in our direction, a Kaka storm, a Ish storm. It is a whirlwind pyramid coming towards us, and it is going over in, and it's looking to land on your house and my house and other people who look like our houses. There's nothing in the works that will benefit us. There is a program, a situation called a Heritage Program, the Heritage Corporation. This is a think tank. This is a white nationalist think tank whose goal is to enforce white supremacy and have white dominated cisgender white male domination. And that's just it. There was a book that came out in 1980. There's a book that came out in 1980, and the name of that book escapes me at this point, and it will pop into my head at some point during the program, and I'll bring it up. This lets you know that book was instituted in 1980. Ronald Wilson Reagan, the former president of the United States of America, he instituted 40% of that book. The same people have what is called Project 2025. You can go to project2025.org. Project, Project 2025.org. They have a 1,000 page manifesto. Do you have the time to read a 1,000 page manifesto? No, you don't. That's why you have. I should have put it on the screen, but I was speedballing today. Work with me. You can go here. I'm going to put it on the screen shortly. You can go here. And right there. It's going to be on the screen shortly. You can go there. AAPF.org. And that stands for African American Policy Forum.org. These are the people who are fighting against Project 2025. And you notice, and I don't have anything against anybody else in any other culture that walks the face of the earth, because I don't have the mental bandwidth to be walking around hating anybody, right? But these are people who are directly connected with us, me and you, from the African American diaspora. And from the African diaspora and African Americans, to be specific. And I want you to understand, if you are a working class white individual who's watching this, you're a working class Asian individual who's watching this, a Latino individual who's watching this, or anybody on the planet Earth who's watching this, if you're working class, you can go there and see that Project 2025 is a real thing, and they're trying to put you in a proverbial trick bag, as we say in the urban areas. The trick bag is real, and it is here to destroy you. Black media has led the way, as I stated, to telling the truth, going back as far as the end of World War II. World War II. There was a bomb dropped. There were atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Hiroshima. Japan. It was in Japan. And the propagandized news, mainstream media, New York, the Washington Post, the New York Daily News, the Wall Street Journal, and other institutions that are highly respected, they put out propagandized news saying, hey, that will only affect Japan, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima, Japan, Hiroshima, Japan. They will put out information saying the radiation that was dropped on those people is only going to affect Japan. There was a black guy in the Chicago Defender, a reporter who at one point he was a physician. He put out the proper news that said, no, this is going to affect us for years to come. He was 100% correct. These are the things. This is just one example of how mainstream media black mainstream media put out a story, and black media said, no, it's not, and had documented proof that this is not what's going on. This is not beneficial to you, nor is it beneficial to I. And this is why we need to put our eyes on mainstream media that is beneficial to you. We don't need propagandized news like people like these pundits who are in it for the money. They'll say whatever they need to say to maintain that check, or as they say now, chase that bag. They'll do whatever it takes to keep that bag full, right? But what is it doing for you? It does me no good to be richer than my side. I have siblings, I have nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends. What good does it do to have me as the king of the hill and they're paupers scraping around, crawling around on the ground for crumbs? It does me no good. And this is what we need. This is why we need to galvanize as a community and as a working class, a black community, and as a working class community throughout the world. The people at the top cannot exist without us. They are rich because of you. Understand that. The people who, movie stars are movie producers are movie producers because you go to the movies. You pay a HBO, Showtime, Paramount bill. You pay for streaming services. That's why they're rich. If you stop doing it and start reading books, they be SOL. And that's just the bottom line. And as working class individuals, especially in my community, we need to start working towards making things better for us. And black-owned media will put you on that path. People like Roland Martin, people like Dr. Greg Carr, people like Reese Culver. These people are doing Dr. Black. These people are doing everything they can on a daily basis to make sure you have the information so you can empower yourself. We're not talking about voting for people because they have a D or an R next to their name. We're talking about enhancing your position so you can make a sound decision so the people who you are voting for are doing the bidding for you. not doing the bidding for groups, lobbyists, and things of that nature, or somebody with a whole lot of money and who will get you where you want to be. Here in Chicago, for example, you have what is about to be invested into the Chicago Bears football team, a $5 billion football stadium. How many books could you have bought? How many people could you have housed? How many people who are living under the interstate, living on the side of the interstate, going to homeless shelters, walking around, living in tents on a regular basis? How many of those people could be assisted with $5 billion? Am I a football fan? Indeed, I am. But I'm a fan of humanity. I know my people in the city of Chicago, especially black men, we're in the front of the race for homelessness. In the front of the race for homelessness. See, instead of watching the migrants and worried about what they're getting, why aren't we having conversations with our city council? Why aren't we having conversations with our state rep, our U.S. rep, our state senator and U.S. senator, governor, and the mayors and the president of Cook County? That's why our ire needs to be focused. Yeah, some people came here from another country and they're getting certain benefits. Again, I've said this probably for six consecutive weeks. Why are we not looking at what they have and asking, why don't I have it? See, it's easy to complain and wave our finger at the politicians. But how many of us have organized in groups of 10 or more? I'm not even talking about thousands of people. I'm not talking about hundreds of people, 10 or more, and said, we are going to call, hypothetically speaking, LaShawn K. Ford here in Chicago, Danny Davis, Walter Burnett, they're elected officials, Mayor Johnson. How many of us have had a group text and say, we're going to call Mayor Johnson's office today and complain about this? I need you to complain about, I need 3 of y'all to complain about this, 3 of y'all to complain about this. We need 3 people to complain about the roads. We need 3 people to complain about the academic situation. We need 3 people to complain about the crime. We need 3 people to tomorrow we're going to complain about opportunities for employment, opportunities for entrepreneurship, opportunities for this and opportunities for that. This is how we need to be spending a lot of our time. If we spend 15 minutes a day just doing that group text instead of not talking about Kendrick Lamar. Let's not talk about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Let's not talk about Rick Ross and Drake. Let's talk about anybody and Drake. Let's start talking about the dregs of humanity that are running the cities from border to border, coast to coast in the United States of America. This is not only happening in Chicago. Let's talk about the fact that there was a bridge that collapsed. And instead of people talking about what happened and what allowed that boat or that ship to crash into that bridge, we start talking about the mayor was a DEI candidate. It is impossible to be a diversity, equity, and inclusion member of a head guy in a municipality. It's impossible to do that. You cannot be an elected official and be DEI, because that means everybody in that city, town, or municipality said, we want him to lead us. This is why they got us believing in that affirmative action isn't a good thing. Well, if affirmative action isn't a good thing, well, I'm going to need you to do away with legacies at places like Yale and Harvard and Stanford and other prestigious institutions. If I go to that institution, Barack Obama, both of his daughters, Barack and Michelle Obama's, their children, are automatically allowed to be at Harvard. Indeed. See, we can't allow people to hold us to a standard that they're not even living up to. But those things are allowed because we sit around and complain about nonsensical foolishness. And look, am I a hip hop fan? Did I have a conversation about Drake this week? Yeah, I did. My man Mo called me. I had a couple other people call me, talk about hip hop stuff, and we chopped it up for a second, and that was it. But we are talking about this, and we got people stripping. They're trying to do away with our health care. The Affordable Care Act is probably one of the most beneficial things that have been done to Black people in the United States of America. Oh, it's not a Black thing. Yes, it is, because who leads the nation in heart disease? I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll continue to be a broken record on this. Heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease. Why do you think all these kidney diseases are? I can't think of the damn thing. I have to rewrite everything. These dialysis places are open up in your community because stress, when you're full of stress, It triggers your kidneys. It triggers your blood pressure. The blood pressure triggers your kidneys. It does damage to your kidneys. We're not drinking enough water. The water is dirty. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the fact that 40% of the water in the United States of America today, from border to border, coast to coast, is not good enough for consumption. You cannot get water out the ocean. Then you want to complain. You have people complaining about what we want to do. We want to dig up this coal because that's what I've been doing for the last 40 years. That's why your water is dirty, because you're drinking water out. The water is usually the natural spring water is usually clean by that coal that you're digging up that pollute the earth. Come on, people, work with me. This is cyclical. This is a cyclical situation. It is not checkers. It's not chess, it's checkers. How long do you want to live? How long do you want your children to live? Do you want to have great grandchildren? If you do, these are the things that you need to be focused on, not what a rapper does. Look, listen to the music, and then listen to the music as you talk to your friends about how we can improve this situation that we're in. There are state senators, state representatives, United State, U.S. senators, U.S. People in the U.S. House of Representatives, state senators, and state House representative people. They are designed. That's their job, to put money in your pocket, to put you in a situation to whereas you, as an individual citizen of the United States of America, will put himself in a position to win. That is the truth. That is the honest to God truth. That's what they're there for. Their job is to put money in your pocket if you choose to be an entrepreneur and you want to have a tax base. But we're not doing those things. We are not doing those things. We're not making them earn the money that they come to our churches, they come to our homes, they come to our places of business, and they ask for our votes, and we don't force them to do anything. And this is why they are allowed to get away with the nonsense that they do, because we are not forcing them to do anything. Well, the Democrats don't do anything for us. Well, we don't ask them to do anything. We complain to our friends as we complain more about if Michael Jordan is better than Kobe Bryant, if Kendrick Lamar is better than this guy and that guy, Drake, and this and that. We need to get away from that. Let's put 25 hours a week into governmental control, and then let's put 5 or 10 minutes into Drake and Michael Jordan and those people. That's the way it needs to be. 25 hours a week. It's only 168 hours in a week. So 25 hours is a decent amount of time to ensure that your grandchildren's grandchildren will be okay. I do believe that. Project 2025 is this. They want to do away with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, so they can pollute your water, so they can further kill you. And meanwhile, they're in situations to whereas they're getting water pumped into them, they're getting water taken care of them. And guess what? You're still struggling. This is why we struggle, because we don't know. People do not attack things that are not important to them. They want to do away with the Civil Rights Act. It's the reason people who are twice our age have better voting rights than the people than our children will have. There's no reason for my mother to have more better voting rights at age 25 than my son at age 31. These are the things that we're strapped with. We need to continue to work towards maintaining the things that we fought for. You mean to tell me you're willing to let people like A. Philip Randolph, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., W.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, these people die. Some of us by murder, some of us in shame. Some of those guys were incarcerated. Paul Robeson, they were kicked out of situations, are not allowed to work. And what we're going to do is allow the people who are descendants of the people who put them under that stress to do the same thing to them as we did to each other. If they did to our ancestors, that's foolish. That is pure and utter foolish. I need us to do better. We have to do better. There's no other option but to do better. And if we don't do better, we're going to suffer way worse than they did. When you have Project 2025, and this is a situation to where as these people are trying to have a dictatorship, you have people like Donald Trump standing in front of the mainstream media saying he wants to give the police immunity. How is that possible? Again, at the beginning of the program, I stated, hey, everybody, we're good, hardworking people, so everybody's not going to be infected by the police. But if your community is policed 4 times as much as anybody else, or in some cases 8 to 10 times as much, who will that affect? Then you have these rogue cops doing whatever they want to do because then they know there's no consequences to their actions. This is what how many times have you heard that on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS News, or WGN for that matter? You don't hear about those things. You just hear about this. You get guys like Stephen A. Smith and others come out and say he relates to us. We're not criminals. As a collective, we're not criminals. He relates to criminals. He relates to people who take advantage of the disadvantage. He's a person who finds people because he has a certain amount of money and he has a certain amount of popularity. People gravitate towards him. But are they putting on TV that the people who help contrive these plans are basically snitching on him to stay out of the institutions of incarceration? They're doing it. And this is what you're not seeing on the news. But hey, let me get a DUI. Let one of these athletes, one of these rappers, one of these actors, let one of them get in trouble, and we're inundated with that information on a regular basis. You have people supporting nonsensical lies. They're supporting things they are diametrically opposed to their betterment, and they're doing it. You got people, a dude who had a family farm, which means he has generational investment in this. He lost his farm because he said it was worth it because I support this guy. You don't need to be supporting that guy. You got people saying, hey man, this situation is insane. Well, why is it that we can send hundreds of millions of dollars to a specific place in this country to fight specific wars, but we won't spend 50 million, hundreds of billions, but we won't spend 50 billion to make people who have mental anguish and give them comfort? How is it that Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or no other president, Barack Hussein Obama, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, William Jefferson Clinton, and any other, Jimmy Carter, and any other president we have, why are we having people in the most powerful country, the greatest country in the world, and there are people that's living outside? Are there people who made bad decisions and put them outside? Indeed, there are. But the vast majority of those people are not people who they are being priced out of their lives. And that's it. And that's all. They're being priced out of the opportunity to live great lives because these companies are making way more money than they're paying to their employees. Why is it that the auto workers had to fight and go on strike and have the president for a photo op in order to they had a 40% increase at the top. The CEO got a 40% raise, and the people at the bottom had to fight for cost of living wages. That's insane. But this is what we allow it to do. I am now a union person. I'm a member of a union now. So guess what that means? That means your man H-Rap will never walk into a Walmart ever again until I leave the union. I shouldn't go in there in the first place because guess what? Just because I wasn't in the union, does not mean I should have been participating in things that are anti-union. This is why working class people need to work together. You have people in this United States federal government that were against the Build Back Better plan, but they stand at the podium when they get those checks and stand there as if they were down with it. This is why mainstream media does not. These are the lies and the propagandized information that they feed you. That people don't want to work. These young people don't want to work. This person don't want this. First of all, the world has changed. The time in which you work 35 years for the same company and you retire and you kick your feet up and live a good life, that's over. Most people I know who are extremely successful, they worked at their place of employment 3 to 5 years tops, and they move on and get 401k at 4 or 5 different places, and now they're making a boatload of money, and they're buying property and they're investing in things. And if you watch television, watch commercials like Fidelity, you see those guys talking about, okay, I worked here, I got to a certain point, and now I'm out. Loyalty is a thing of the past, unless you're being loyal to your community. If you're being loyal to your community, then you can have some loyalty because you're invested. Because you may not be doing something that your children want to do, but your neighbor's children want to do it, and vice versa. You can have people, if you invest in your community, you will have people who are seeing their neighbors who are doctors, lawyers, engineers, and they may want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You may have someone who owns a grocery store. Your children want to go up and own their own store. You might have we don't have to shop at Home Depot. We don't have to shop at Walmart. We don't have to shop at these places that do not treat their employees the best. and we can shop at our own places. We don't have to have the big conglomerates fix our roofs. We don't have to have the big conglomerates install our air conditioning, heating, and water, hot water tanks. We can have small mom and pop industries to do that. And we can also hold those people to a certain standard because we're making you rich. You owe it to us. You can have athletes get Nike contracts for $250, $300 million, NBA contracts for the same. And then guess what? We can hold their feet to the fire. We'll buy those shoes if you open a grocery store and we will allow you to pimp us in that manner. That's what we need to start doing. We don't need to be cheering for people who are not reinvesting, like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is opening free clinics out throughout the state of North Carolina in impoverished areas. That's what we need those guys to be doing at this point. We don't need any more celebrating of running, throwing, catching, jumping, singing, and dancing, unless you're reinvesting in an institution called the Black community. That's what we need to be doing. This is how you'll get this information, because you'll see people like Dr. Black. You'll see economists. You'll see people who will put you in a position to reach out to the government and get grants, not loans, grants to help you open a business in your community, and then you'll have generational wealth. It becomes a cyclical thing. You can have people here in Chicago, the Derrick Roses, the Anthony Davises, the Isaiah Thomas, the Mark Aguayas, and all the other, the Jawan House come back and not only open grocery stores, open hardware stores, and then buy properties and create low income housing for the people who are disenfranchised. Now you got people investing in communities. Now that's a tax base. That tax base goes into the Westinghouses, the Austin Career Academies, the Dunbar High Schools, the Phillips High Schools, the Percy Julian High Schools throughout the city of Chicago. And now those tax dollars are making those predominantly Black institutions of education flourish instead of failing institutions where people are graduating and being pushed out of schools. We don't need that. This is where we need to be, people. We can no longer look at things that are not benefiting us. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. I do care who wins this race situation. And we need to be in the game. And the only way we can be in the game is instead of investing these people and with no return of our investment, our time investment, our purchasing of jerseys, our purchasing of sneakers, our purchase of t-shirts. If we need to literally sit down with some of these high school coaches. We need to literally sit down with some of these college coaches. And if I send my child here, if we allow you to pimp our children, what are you going to do for the community? This is what the culture of hip hop talked about more than 30 years. It's a song by Public Enemy called Shut It Down. One of the lines is, I like Nike, but wait a minute, the neighborhood supports so put some money in it. And we need to get to that place. We no longer talk about those things. I don't care about the housewives. I don't care about the NBA, NFL, MLB, soccer, or MMA, or boxing. I don't care anymore. It's fun to watch. It's fun to laugh and joke with my friends, but we don't need that anymore. What we do need is a situation to whereas we are using our dollars, our common sense, and exercising our inalienable rights as human beings and citizens of the United States to put us in the best possible situation and not allow these hate-mongering racists and bigots to take over the government and put you in a subservient position that they want you in. And that's what's going on. You got people telling women not to have abortions. They just eradicated a law, and well, actually, they just rewrote a law in the state of Arizona that was set in place in 1865. You're talking about right after the emancipation. How can somebody be living by laws who are set in stone when women couldn't even vote? That's asinine. But we allow it to happen. We allow it to happen. Why is it some man telling a woman what to do with her body? That's insane. But we allow these things to happen and nobody's saying anything because MSNBC and CNN and ABC's in the big four networks, GN and the big three. They're not talking about that. They're talking about the time. They're talking about the young man that robbed somebody at the liquor store, or the random act of violence in the city of Chicago, or the random act of violence in Baltimore, or the random act of violence in New York. But what about these legislative moves that are being made that are being detrimental to every working class individual in the United States of America? You're not talking about that. You're not talking about the inability to clean the water throughout the United States of America. You're not talking about how if you have $100 million for the Ukraine, $100 billion for the Ukraine, that means you can dig up all these lead pipes in the ground throughout the nation. And you can teach our children how to be electricians. You can teach our children how to be plumbers. You can teach our children, they can start off as laborers and work their way up through the union. And now they're making $100,000 a year. And now they bring, creating generational wealth. And at that point, they can buy property and they can rehab property and they can lease that property out as low income property and Section 8 property for people who have made poor decisions in life. And now they can go into another, and now they're trying to get their lives on track. This is what we need to be focusing on. I don't care who's going to win this Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle. I don't care about that. I really don't. I don't care about who's going to win the NBA Finals for that matter. I watch the games. I enjoy watching them, but it's not going to make it better for my daughter, my son, and anybody else I'm connected with. And that's just but we continue to not support our media outlets, and we don't support Black media, aka working class media, because look, it's the same. When America gets a cold, Black people get pneumonia. But when Black people stand up for civil rights and voting rights and health situations and water and things of that nature, it benefits the entire country. Dr. King died, and you still got clowns like Bernie Sanders and others. This guy here in the mayor of Chicago, Harold Washington, he died. And you still got people in Chicago attaching themselves to Harold Washington when they want to get in play. You got people saying Mayor Johnson isn't doing this job. Guess what? He may very well be above, over his head in regards to being the mayor of one of the most powerful cities in the United States of America. It should be the capital of the state of Illinois, because the mayor of Chicago traditionally has more power than the governor of Illinois. But how about this? How many of us have complained to the alderman, the city council, the school board, and things of that nature? Why is it over 100 schools shut down in primarily Black communities, while other communities in the city have getting schools created and built from the ground up? Black folks in Chicago, you have to ask yourself that. Is Mayor Johnson the problem? Is our inability to immobilize, organize, and move forward? Is that the problem? That's what we need to be focusing on. I understand entertainment is a major part of relieving of self-care. It is. You watch movies to take your mind off your problems. You listen to music to take your mind off your problems. You're stressed out because of those problems. But guess what? If you start talking to the right people, you can get some therapy for free, because we pay. Look, you get some keys made, you get a car, you get a bag of potato chips, you go get a sandwich, you go get a pair of shoes, shirt, underwear, hat. You pay taxes on the very cell phone that you may be watching this program on. And guess what? Those tax dollars are only going in other people's pockets. They need to be going on the roads. Your car's being destroyed by potholes. The air is horrible. The water, you can't drink water out of your sink. You got to wash up in that same polluted water. We got people in this country that brown water's flowing through their sink. Brown water. And it ain't tea, it ain't coffee, and it ain't root beer, Coke, or Pepsi. It's dirt and filth. And how is it again? We live in the most powerful country in the world, and we're not forcing these people in office. We always talk about what these people aren't doing. Look, I'm not a fan of either party, but you know what? There's one party that's actively trying to do away with everything that my ancestors built in this country. They're trying to erase history. They're trying to do away with history. And you may wonder, hey, what does history have to do with it? If you erase history, tell you what, erase the day that you were born from history and you disappear. That's why history is important. I don't want to go back and, well, we know we were powerful. No. Just, if you don't think history is important, do away with the day that you were born. I was born at 9:13 p.m. on August the 6th. Do away with that. Remove 9:13 p.m. from the history of the world. And then this show does not happen. That's why history is important. Of course, we need to know about people like Crispus Attucks. Of course, we need to know about people like Paul Laurence Dunbar. Of course, we need to know about Fannie Lou Hamer, Dorothy C. Dolores Tucker, and Maxine Waters. We need to know about those people, because those people will inspire young ladies. Those people will inspire young men. But we also need to respect the fact that these things are to contribute. If you want to delete history, you're contributing to the delinquency of our young people. Yes. Because if you don't know that you can do something, you don't know what you don't know. That's a class me and my mom took about 20 years ago. That you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know there's greatness embedded into your psyche, into your spirit, into your being, then you will assume whatever you see on TV. You will assume that you're not a success unless you got a bunch of diamond rings and a big fancy car. You don't understand. You don't understand success is creating a safe space for you and your loved ones, creating a meal for the people, having a meal with the people that you care about, a simple conversation without being bothered. That's success in certain instances. Am I saying that you shouldn't want a nice car, you shouldn't want a nice watch, a nice suit, nice shoes, things of that nature? No, I'm not. But you cannot allow other people to dictate what your success is. Again, that's why I keep tying back into black media. The black media will show you that success is I can't think of it, they call her the grandmother of Juneteenth. She and other people got together and had Joe Biden made Juneteenth a national holiday. Sister got the elder. Yeah, she's not a sister, she's an elder. She got a medal of honor last week on the last Friday. That's success. Is she a millionaire? No, she's not. She's a working class individual that made a difference in the world today. And I keep telling you guys, you are a sum total of everybody in the history of your lineage, whether they are good, whether they are bad, or whether they're just a regular person. And it ain't nothing wrong with being a regular person. But even if you're a regular person, you need to try to be the best at that. And that's what the mainstream media will not tell you. That's what people will tell you. Anybody, oh man, they don't care about us. Well, if they don't care about you, then that's cool, because most people don't care about you. But what I will tell you is this: if you care about you, then you'll move forward. And that's what we need to get in tune with. We need to get in tune with the people who love themselves, so we can love each other and we can improve this situation that we're in. Otherwise, this thing is going to destroy you it will not be apologetic as it does it. This thing is coming for you. Project 2025 is coming for you. And if you don't want to read 1,000 pages of anything, which, hey, I didn't read 1,000 pages. I went here, right there on the screen, APF.org. They will break down the most important parts of Project 2025 and let you know that these people are out to get women. They're out to get gays. They're out to get migrants. And they definitely out to, understand, when you're listening to the news and they diss gays and they diss migrants, that N-word train is coming. It ain't never been late, Jack. It's never, and it never will be late. They're coming for you next. If you allow people to mistreat people under you, you are next. Guess what? You are under someone. We are all under somebody. The richest man in the world, it's going to be somebody richer than him. The strongest man in the world is going to be somebody stronger than him. The most beautiful people in the world, it is a better looking person than them. So if you allow the most beautiful, the richest, the strongest, the most powerful, the most intelligent person to mistreat people because they have more than, and whatever it is, that means at some point they're coming for you. Because if I eradicate the gays, if I get the women in place, who's next? Well, we're gonna get rid of those black people, or we're gonna get rid of those Hispanic people. So you can get in line, fall in line with that foolishness and that nonsense and mistreat people if you want to. At some point, if you get in line with the bully, if you align yourself with the bully, and when the bully run out of people to beat up, he's beating you up next. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in this evening. Y'all know it's Tuesday. Y'all know what happened on Tuesdays. Keep tuning in. Keep subscribing to www.theendofthebench.com. Go to the End of the Bench Media on YouTube. Keep subscribing. Thank you. I picked up a couple subscribers today. It's greatly appreciated. I need you guys to like, share, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Everybody in the chat room. Y'all know I don't do the names anymore. I want to salute to Willie D, Tariq Nasheed, Nori, Talil Kweli, Zoe Williams, Roland Martin, Sway Calloway, Clay Kane, Larry Daniel Favors, Dr. Greg Carr, and my personal favorite, Larry Daniel Favors is my personal favorite, and the person who gives me a ton of inspiration. Her name is Karen Hunter. Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Thank you, Professor Hunter. Thank you, Dr. Carr. Thank you, Dr. Black. And thank you, Drew Caskill, and all the people who inspire me on a regular basis to do this. All I have to say is see y'all in 168 hours. This will be the last week that Rapping with H-Rap won't be on Thursday. I got some stuff that I'm doing that's personal on Thursdays now. This is the last Thursday. I'll be doing it for a while. 2 fingers, 1 word. It's your man, H-Rap. Mo, take us out.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for ties, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brains. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. It's all a game.